Holden, let's start off our first news story with the iPhone 12 mini rumors, and the rumors are coming out. This was reported via Mac Rumors, if I'm not mistaken, and it's really talking about how the iPhone 12 mini is not selling well in that very first segment or first half of January 2021. For those who are listening to this, for context, this phone is $100 less than the iPhone 12 6.1 inch phone. It packs basically all the same feature set, just with a smaller battery. Now, this is kind of an interesting rumor because when this phone first was announced, I think many people thought that this was going to be one of the phones that sold the best because it really was, again, a copy of the iPhone 12, except for in smaller form factor. Now, there's been a couple news points floated around that this phone isn't selling well. I don't know if this means that Apple is going to maybe kill the phone. Maybe they're going to change it. Holden, what are your thoughts?
It's definitely, based on the sales numbers that we have or the estimations, it's not selling well as the other iPhones. It definitely seems less popular than I would have expected it to be, but I'm not surprised it's not the most popular iPhone 12 model. I think the larger screen sizes are more important to people, and I don't know if prices, because a lot of people were saying that this is going to be the best selling of the 12 models because the price was the cheapest, but I feel like when you're buying the most recent iPhone, you're already in that upper echelon of iPhone prices that it's probably not your biggest consideration. You're probably at that point looking for the phone that you want as opposed to the cheapest way to get into it. If you wanted a cheaper iPhone, you would get 11 or a 10R or an 8 or an SE. There are other options there for you. I'm not super surprised that it's not the most popular, but I am surprised it's as low as it is. But even then, this is still a good selling phone. If it is 5%, that's still millions and millions of phones and a lot of profit on top of it. So I feel like this is still a good phone and it's probably still performing financially well for Apple. I don't think they're losing money on this by any means.
Yeah, so I think it's a very good point. You have to put this in context. So Apple sold like 60 million phones last quarter. If this was 5%, right, that's going to be roughly in the neighborhood of 3 million phones in a 3-month time span. There are certainly some manufacturers who don't sell 3 million phones, of course, across the entire year. So selling 3 million phones in a 3-month time span for Apple, I think it's going to be okay. They're not going to go under.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe. Well,
yeah, who knows? This could be the end of Apple because the iPhone 12 mini is that is certainly funny. Now, when I saw the phone, or when I did get it for the channel to review, I liked it a lot. I just had the problem where I felt like my hands were cramping up going from the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Pro at the time, to the iPhone 12 mini. It just felt like it was too small for my hands to really to get comfortable typing on it. But I think that's probably like an unrealistic use case that not many people are going from the 6.1 inch iPhone from last year down to the iPhone 12 mini just because it's smaller. They're maybe upgrading from a different phone altogether. Maybe they're coming from the iPhone 8, the iPhone 6, and they're looking for something that's comparable. Maybe people are buying it for their children it's their first phone. Who knows? So the addressable market, I think, for what this phone or who this phone is targeted for, I think is maybe a little bit unknown, and people are giving it, I think, an unfair rap. But we'll see what happens in September when presumably the phone gets updated for, the next 12S or, iPhone 13, whatever they're going to call it. Who knows?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if there wasn't a 12S or 13 or whatever it's going to be called mini variant. I'd be very surprised if they didn't have that.
I think that what was the name of the phone that was released along the iPhone 5S? Was it the iPhone 5C?
The 5C, yeah.
Like that just felt like a different phone because it was a different material. Even though it did have colors, it didn't have Touch ID, right?
No, it was an iPhone 5 with not plastic but polycarbonate back, which is plastic.
Which is plastic.
Yeah,
it's a fancy name for plastic.
Very fancy plastic. Yeah, I had one of those for one day because there's something weird where, like, contractually, because this is the time I like the 2-year contracts. Contractually, I wanted the 5S, but I already traded my phone. They didn't end up having it, so I ended up getting a 5C for a day, and then went back to the Apple Store the next day to like switch it out for the 5S. So it was something weird like that. I don't remember the exact details, but I had a 5C for one day, and then went to the 5S. And you're right, it's a completely different feeling phone. It's a different experience. It very much felt like they were trying to make a more affordable iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
But the 5S still packed all the new features and all other kind of stuff. This isn't that. You're right. It's aluminum versus plastic. Yeah.
Yeah, here it's the same phone, same material, or at least it has the same feel of the same material when you're having it in your hands or when you hold it in your hands,
Hmm.
which is interesting. I think that I think it really has to do with who they're targeting this phone for. Maybe not necessarily not that people don't like it. It's just the again the addressable market. The people who think wants the phone is smaller than what the analysts think is what the analysts hope that
Hmm.
the phone is going to be.
I also think that the iPhone 11 is still the best selling iPhone as well. Am I wrong? I don't. I'm just spitballing here. I'm pretty sure. And if that's the case, I don't. They maybe Apple doesn't expect their most recent iPhone to be their best selling iPhone.
That can certainly be true, right? And that makes a lot of sense because, um, even though they have a large number of phones, so you pointed this out in the first time that we recorded, because people get phones, through many different ways. But they buy them in the store, they finance them, they get them through the carriers. Not everyone buys the latest model iPhone every year. There's a large number of
Hmm.
people. I would probably think that it's the fair majority of people who are upgrading are not getting the newest phones. They might be buying a phone that's 1 year old because those phones come down in prices as they cascade or as they lengthen in the
Hmm.
number of years they've been available.
There's also the good enough mentality. I have an
Yeah,
iPhone 10R, and I used to be the person who bought a new iPhone every year, from the iPhone 4 to the iPhone 6S. I skipped, but I had every iPhone from iPhone 4 to iPhone 7.
yeah,
And it's just because why not buy every year? There's huge upgrades year on year, and we're not there anymore. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. iPhone 10R is still an awesome device. It's still, I think, going to outclass a lot of Android phones. Maybe not the top tier ones, but at that price range, it's, I think, the best you can get. So
yeah.
there's not really a need to buy the latest and greatest unless you really want to take advantage of like the best camera and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and also there's a global pandemic going around where people don't necessarily they might not have the job security that they thought they had before.
Mhm.
They might not have the need to go buy the best iPhone with the best cameras. So there's a lot of factors that go into place, which maybe those are being considered, maybe they're not, but I don't know that. I
Yeah.
would think that you know probably if you were upgrade eligible and you were going to get a new phone, you might not necessarily buy the iPhone 12 Pro or the 12 Pro Max because what's going on in the world unless you have to, right? You're not traveling, you're not taking as many phone or pictures with your phone, you're not out and about. Why should I spend the money now? I'll wait till the things change in terms of environment or
Mhm.
when there's a new phone available. Holden's great. So if you guys like these type of clips, I'll go ahead and continue to post them here on the channel. Now, if you want to watch the podcast live in its entirety, we do live broadcasts every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll put a link down to that channel in the video description where if you want to subscribe, you can. I would appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys in the next video.